Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm DEENA Diamond, and most of you will probably already know me from my Instagram, Thick Sexy TS. But I'm here today to talk to you because I don't talk on Instagram. But I wanted to use this time to really just kind of let you in on my life and let you know who I am. I think a lot of people think that I'm trans, and I am not, for the record. I'm just me. Today, one of my besties is coming over. I'm so excited just to get a little kickoff to the channel and offer something new. This is not something I normally do. I'm more of an introvert, more shy, so be patient with me. But I thank you for coming, and I look forward to just letting you in a little bit more on me. If you haven't already, subscribe and make sure you follow me on IG, Thick Sexy TS. Well, hello everyone. It's DEENA Diamond here with my bestie, Veve. And so today, like I said, we're just gonna talk a little bit about some things. I know she has a lot of questions for me.
Yes.
As this is the first time that she's really seeing me like this. So the first question, what do you think? I know this is new for you, but tell me what's on your mind.
I would say my first question would be, when did you realize DEENA was there?
That's a good question. And thanks for asking that, because I know a lot of people are probably going to want to know the same thing. So for me, I've always been DEENA. I think from a little kid, I've always liked sexy clothes, I guess whatever you would call feminine. That was me, but I knew even at an early age that I couldn't really be that way.
Yeah.
And the one time that, I caught myself wearing a dress was my mother. She used to have this long trench coat, and I put it on one time because for me it was a dress, but she didn't know why I was wearing it. And I would prance around in the house with that dress all the time. And
what did she say?
Well, one day I messed it up. And when I messed it up, she was wondering why I had it on. Obviously for her it didn't make sense, but it makes sense to me. But she beat me. I got in trouble. I was embarrassed in front of all my family. They probably don't remember this. Maybe they do. But I mean, I've always just kind of been more just, I like stuff that you would say girls like.
Okay.
I didn't ever look at it as, something wrong, but I knew it was something wrong when, let's say, I played with dolls and someone told me, put that down, or I don't know. I just knew I just couldn't do too much because it was going to be a problem. And so that's kind of one of the reasons why I just, I was in the closet and not really being who I am. So this is hard for me. Like, even talking to you, I know that you're my bestie, and this is the first time that we're really talking like this, face to face. So it's weird, y'all. It is, but I just really, I'm at the point where I feel like I don't have to hide anymore.
Right, that's good.
And I can be who I am. I'm not trying to be something that I'm not. This is just me. This is me expressing myself. I'm not trans, for the record. I'm two-spirit. So if you don't know what it is, Google it. But being two-spirit means that you share both masculine and feminine energies. And I know that that's hard to explain or even understand, because I'm still trying to understand it. But when I'm in tune with my feminist side, this is what it looks like. This is what it feels like for me. And I know that's real different. I don't even know like how else to even explain it, but this is what it is.
Okay, well, I respect that. I do, and I'm excited you're able to really feel like you can be who you want to be right now. Because it's difficult sometimes, you know, you don't know if people that you know for so long are going to pass judgment on you, if they're going to feel some type of way. And a lot of times, too, you know, I'm glad you said that you're not trans, because I feel like some people do think that this is something that you're going to be permanently, and I think that it surprises people sometimes.
Yeah.
So like, for maybe like, you know, for your family who hasn't met DEENA yet, how would you explain it to them as far as like when you are DEENA and when you're your other person?
Well, I don't. Honestly, I don't really want my family to meet me as DEENA. I feel like, you know, when I'm expressing myself, when I want to be feminine and when I want to be sexy, it's only for myself and my man. That's it.
Okay.
I do not really need family, friends, coworkers, or whoever else to see me like this or to experience this. I don't know why that is. I still feel like I'm being myself and I get what I need, but as a two-spirit person, it's not a choice for me to have to be one way.
Right.
I don't,
Okay.
you know, for me, I never really like categories. I just do what comes natural to me, and it happens to be this. And when it's not this, it looks a little different. But the feminine side of me was always the part that I've always struggled with, where I've had to hide, because when you're assigned one sex at birth and you're behaving a different kind of way, or you have liking towards something that maybe is not what you're supposed to like, it's a problem.
Yeah.
And I know family might be looking at this video, friends, and may not understand it. And that's why I'm doing this video. You know, I'm really thankful for you.
Aww.
Because one, I didn't want you to know. I actually didn't want nobody to know about this side of me. And that's part of the reason why it's so important for me to make this video, to have this channel, just to shed some light. Because the last thing I want is for you to, anybody to find my Instagram and be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And by the way, when I did that Instagram, I was just really it was like a test. I just wanted to be sexy and feel myself. And, you know, I created a page. Didn't really know how anybody would receive it, if they would look at me like, oh, this bitch is crazy, or, you know, what I look like. But it was fun for me. It was something that was therapeutic, and because me being able to express myself on the feminine level was something that I just didn't have a chance to do. Or when I did do it, I was hiding. I was, you know, was home when nobody else was there. Or I did have this one boyfriend, and he, I think that was probably like the one and only time that I was ever in love. Because I felt like he was the one person that really understood me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, he understood, like, I don't even think, well, we didn't have a name or a term for whatever it is that I am or how I am. But, you know, I presented myself one way outside in the streets and in front of whoever, but behind closed doors, I was. And he understood that. I didn't even have to tell him. It was like he knew who I was without me having to tell him. You know, and he was, yeah. But I think that was beneficial for me in my life because
Mm-hmm.
that kind of, it made me feel like I wasn't so wrong, so different, so bad.
Mm-hmm.
If I could find somebody else that could understand who I was, how I was
Yeah.
feeling, and then, I know a lot of people, maybe don't speak too highly about social media, but I encourage it because, once I started my social media page on Instagram, I was meeting other people like me or that were feeling like me and didn't know, just what to do or
Mm-hmm.
what was next for them. And it's complicated. I always
Yeah.
tell you
Yeah.
all the time that, I'm not complicated, but I'm complex.
Okay.
I'm complex only because, I know who I am, but that's hard translating to other people when you're trying to explain
Yeah.
to other
Yeah.
people like who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Not other people are gonna get it. Not other people will receive it, and so. But anyway.
Okay. Okay. So what? So do you feel like if you did have more of the support to be a twin flame at an earlier age, do you think you would have been ready to do that, or you think this is now the best time for you to really be who you are?
That's a great question. You know me already, and I do believe that there's a time for everything, and
Mm-hmm.
that things happen when it's supposed to happen. I think that maybe if I was able to express myself freely back then when I was younger, maybe my life would look a little different right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I will have to say that I have no complaints, no regrets, no remorse for how my life turned out and where I am at this point, and even just having this conversation now later in life. I feel like I don't know. I think when things happen, it really all depends on the individual.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
for me, this happened when I was ready for it to happen because
Mm-hmm.
that's when, I would pray and I would have conversations about my purpose and who I am and, just trying to get some understanding because even though like this is new for you and for probably everybody, it's not new for me.
Mm-hmm.
This
Right.
is just
Yeah.
kind of like the first time that I'm really coming to terms with who I am after having it buried for so long. And I don't know, I think, during the pandemic, when the pandemic happened, that was like really the first time that I just started to look at life and, just started to think about what was missing,
Mm-hmm.
what type of, mark that I want to leave when when I'm not
Mm-hmm.
no longer here.
Right.
But not only that, I just wanted to really just be true to myself. I feel like, during the pandemic, I had everything I needed, but I also saw it as an opportunity for me to, really just go and really, seek the answers that I was looking for,
Mm-hmm.
But you already know my story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what would you say? So you mentioned this one relationship that you had where you felt supported with this. Have you ever felt like you were close to telling someone else your relationship with, or you feel like you never really wanted to express that or feel comfortable expressing that with anybody else you were in a relationship with?
Oh no.
No one else?
Like I said, it's not easy,
Mm-hmm.
when let's say someone meets you and you're presenting yourself one way,
Mm-hmm.
they're probably more than likely gonna want you to
Stay that way.
stay that
Yeah,
way, be
yeah.
the way that they
Mm-hmm.
see
Right.
you. And not that I have a problem with that, it's just I don't know, I guess for me it's um you know to be able to find a partner that you feel comfortable enough where you can have those difficult conversations with, where you can open up with, that's what makes the difference.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I've had partners before in the past that made me feel like I can really open up and, you know, be who I am. You know, I come from during the time that, you know, if you were feminine or if you were anything in between, it was a problem. You know, you had to be DL back then. Everybody was DL. And just, it was just a different time. And so I've always kind of went along with the flow. And just for the record, another reason why I wanted to make this YouTube channel was because I feel for so long, you know, one of the issues that I had was that I was always living my life for other people and wasn't really truly being who I am because of a fear of judgment or just, you know, disappointing someone.
Right.
Thank God I got through that because I'm at the point where I live my life for me today. And like I said, I don't have any regrets. It's not for me to, you know, hinder on the past, but just to kind of like provide some context to let you know where I am and how I'm feeling and just how we got here today.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't easy. It wasn't, and you know, this is still my journey. You know, I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow, but this alone makes me feel good that I'm having this conversation again with you. I asked you to come and do this with me because, you know, I was struggling. I'm a pretty shy person. Many people would know, but you know, I'm very private. I only let a small amount of people in, but I wanted to have this conversation with you because I just wanted to know how you feel. I'm sure someone watching this video today is gonna, you know, will be able to relate, or that they'll know someone like me, or they'll be in your position where they're like, what's going on? But how are you doing otherwise though? I mean, how do you feel? Like, I know this is the first time that you're really getting to see me this way.
I feel like it's, I mean, but since we spoke about it before, you kind of like showed me a little bit of the Instagram, it's not as surprising for me. I think it's more so, and this is maybe me being selfish, but I am glad that this is not something that's because I did meet you a different way. And so I know you a different way. And I like both of these ways, but I can't imagine our dynamic without the other way. So, and, you know, it makes me happy to know that you're able to express yourself and I get to experience you in different ways. Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that you responded in that way and, you know, told me how you feel, because I really feel like communication is key. And that's on both parts, right? So if I didn't tell you this side of me, you wouldn't know like what I'm going through, what I'm feeling.
Right.
Or, and the reason why I even told you is because I was tired of like dodging you and avoiding you when I was, you know, being pretty, and you would ask me what's going on and I would make up something. But, you know, I think that, you know, that is kind of the fear that a lot of people have when they have these expectations of someone, whether they met them one way or they raised them to be one way.
Right.
They have these expectations of them to be the way that they envision.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can feel disappointing to you, you know, when that person doesn't meet those expectations or, you know, follow the vision that you had. But I just want you to know, one, I thank you so much for telling me how you feel. And I'm glad that you said it is selfish of you, because it is.
Yeah.
You know, for anyone out there, that is watching, I need you to know that you have to live your life and you have to do what's best for you. I think a lot of times we stop being who we are because we're a fear of what other people think, or, you know, just that disappointment that we talked about. But I'm glad that, you know, you're telling me how you feel. But I think it's also important for people that's watching to know that if you know someone that is you know, that kind of, you know, derails from what you expected, just know that that person is still the same. You didn't lose that person. And I think that's why a lot of people feel like, you know, they get upset or they feel sad when they feel like someone is maybe, you know, transitioning, or someone is, you know, now involved with a different lifestyle or whatever it is. I don't know, but the person that you know is still the same person. Like, people don't change.
Right.
Like, their appearance might change. Like, I might look different, but I'm still the same person. I'm still the same person. You know? And I think that's why it's kind of scary for me, because I know that, but you don't know that. Like, my mother don't know that. A lot of other people don't know that. And that's why it's just so hard, because I know how people feel, and when you know how people feel about certain things, that's what pushes you into the closet. That's what silences you.
Right.
And that's what just kind of like removes you from being the person that you were really intended to be, because you're just thinking about somebody else. And so when you asked me earlier about, well, is this the time for you? Well, I guess it is. You know, hopefully I make everybody happy. But now it's time to make me happy and live my life. And, you know, but nothing is changing. You know, you now just know a little bit more about me than you did before.
Okay. Okay. So, well, I mean, so, you know, as you get in more into DEENA, have you felt like you met people that are similar to you, right? Because you keep, you know, you said that you're not trans, and so there's, you know, I guess a lot of people on the same journey, right? Have you met people, or you feel like you found a community of people that you can resonate with?
Yes, I have. You know, I feel like one of the problems that we have is labels, categories. When everybody is just so different, like, we don't all just fit into one box. And I know I don't. You know I don't. Okay, I'm living proof that we don't all fit into one box. So it's real hard when you know that you're different, but you know, society creates this label for you and says that this is your label, this is your title, this is who you are. They're gonna tell you who you are. But when you know that that's not quite you, it can lead to confusion and have you feeling like, oh my gosh, you know. But you know, I guess the best way to explain it is, I guess, gender non-conforming. I have met other people that were just maybe gender non-conforming, and maybe, you know, they were, you know, have had interest in, you know, and, you know, maybe dressing up in a different gender clothing, or, you know, activities with another person, whatever it is. But everyone is different. Like, everyone is really different. And I think that was something I've also learned from being on Instagram. Just, you know, having conversations with different people. And that's one of the things that kind of brought me to this point right now, where I'm able to have this conversation with you and not feel, you know, more nervous than what I already am, or uncomfortable. But it's given me the confidence that I needed, because I feel like, you know, when you are different and you feel like, okay, well, it's just like me. Is this me? You don't know anyone else like you.
Right.
And social media has allowed me to connect with people that are, you know, that share a similar interest, or, you know, that's a little bit different on that spectrum. And I don't know, I guess it just makes me feel better to know that I'm not just the only person out there that, you know, is on this umbrella of whatever it is, or that don't fit into your social norms of what society has put together or outlined for who we are and how we should be.
So you feel like you've gotten, because since you've been able to really be yourself with DEENA, you feel like on the social media has really provided you like a lot of support and encouragement with that, to just keep.
It has. Honestly, before I started my Instagram page, nobody really knew me like this.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I didn't really exist in the world. And even with that, I had to figure out who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And, even when I started the page, and I would just have small conversations with people, because I was just this part of me was just so buried for so long, didn't really exist, that I had to get to know me, this new version of me. I feel like I'm a multifaceted type of person. Like, there's so many different sides of me. This is just one side.
Right.
This is just
right.
one side. As a two-spirited person, I mean, there's going to be some masculine things about me. There's going to be some feminine things about me. I was just always embarrassed to show that feminine side. I didn't really let people see that too much, but I don't think, being feminine is something to be embarrassed of or ashamed of. It's not a sign of weakness. I admire, femininity, especially when it's coming from, someone that you would least expect. Because, I think we all have, both masculine and feminine traits. It's all on how we kind of react and we respond and act on it, or what we just feel from it. And for me, I just feel a little bit more on that feminine side at times. But Instagram has given me support that I have never ever had. Knowing that there's a community of people out there that are like me, or that just understand me. That means a lot. That really means a lot to me.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad you feel supported. It's different too. I think that being able to get that support from social media, and then being able to, tell your friends and family, kind of gives you that confidence, because the world accepts you already, and so like your inner circle will accept you because you have that confidence about it. So that's good. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. I do thank you for just coming today.
Of course. I like to be on camera, so.
And I know this is different for you, and I heard you what you said about you don't want to just kind of lose me.
Right. But, I mean, I know I'm not, though, because we already talked about that before.
I know, but it is something that people do think, because I had someone else say that too. But I just want to let everybody know again, because I have family and friends that may see this video, I don't know. And I just want them to know that I'm still the same person that I've always known. You probably will never even have the privilege to meet DEENA. But anyway, I'm playing. But anyway, like, this is me, and just being myself, and I hope you can accept that. And Bebe does.
I do.
But anyway, well, thank y'all so much for your time, and thank you for, just viewing my channel, and I really hope that you subscribe.
Subscribe.
If you haven't already, and be sure to follow me on Instagram, where things get a little bit more spicy, at Thick Sexy TS. Until next time, have a good one, everyone.
Bye, y'all.